and welcome to the Patriot Connection. I'm Hudson Davis.
And I'm Malia Miskowitz. It is a holiday filled with tradition and started 2,000 years ago. Patriot Connection reporter Audrey Deal shares the history of Halloween.
Halloween started as an ancient Celtic festival. The Celtic people would light bonfires and dress up to ward off ghosts as a pagan religious tradition. Pope Gregory III made November 1st All Saints' Day, and the evening before was known as All Hallows' Eve, which later became known as Halloween. Mr. Beltrando is a social studies teacher, and he says that through the ages, Halloween has evolved.
The origins of Halloween can actually be traced back to antiquity. Most point to Samhain. It's a Celtic festival that's commemorated to the end of the harvest season, and it's the blending of the physical world and the spiritual world. Throughout the ages, Halloween has actually kind of evolved. It's taken on Christian influences, it's taken on American consumerism and European mythology.
From dressing up, handing out candy, or carving pumpkins, Wheeling Park students have their favorite traditions.
More than likely it would be trick-or-treating. I used to go with my sister and my brother all the time.
Probably watching scary movies with friends and going to Halloween parties because they're fun.
Carving pumpkins with my family and friends.
My favorite Halloween tradition is passing out candy to trick-or-treaters.
Many of today's Halloween traditions originated in other countries. Across the globe, close to 40 countries celebrate Halloween. Reporting for the Patriot Connection, I'm Audrey Deal.
While dressing in costumes is a popular tradition, if you live in Alabama, make sure not to go as a nun or a priest, or you will have to pay a $500 fine and spend a year in prison.
Speaking of dressing up, one of the most popular Halloween traditions today is still dressing up in costumes. Patriot Connection reporter Sam Mason takes a look at the fascination we have with dressing up in Halloween costumes.
People have been dressing up for Halloween-related events for over 2,000 years. It all started with the Celtic festival of Samhain. It's believed that people wore simple costumes to ward off spirits and other supernatural forces. Early on, people often dressed up as witches, devils, and angels. Over the years, Halloween costumes have evolved, and people often dress as famous movie or TV characters such as Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Chucky, and Michael Myers. One thing that has stayed the same is the fascination with dressing up as a witch. In fact, the witch has been and continues to remain one of the most popular Halloween costumes.
My favorite Halloween costume is the Hulk.
Being a Ninja Turtle.
Is Barbie from the Barbie movie.
A scarecrow.
Probably Batman, just because I like all the movies that he's in.
My favorite Halloween costume is when a girl dressed up as Mr. Orth and wore a bald cap to school. I like the Scream costume because I really like the movies.
Michael Myers because it's my favorite movie.
Fast forward to today, where around 50% of people in the United States dress up for the holiday and spend $30 to $70. Mr. Young is a social studies and economics teacher at Wheeling Park High School and says inflation is playing a role in the slight increase of Halloween costumes.
So inflation is just the general rise of prices that happens, throughout different periods in the United States history. And right now we're experiencing a lot of inflation really due to the COVID pandemic still. We had short supply chains and high demand in American households, and so we're still feeling the effects of that. With holidays coming up like Halloween, a lot of families will struggle to make ends meet with how expensive Halloween costumes are, candy and stuff like that. So good chances some people will have to make sacrifices there.
Despite the increase of inflation, more people are dressing up than years in the past. Reporting for the Patriot Connection, I'm Sam Mason.
Humans aren't the only ones who dress up for Halloween. Close to 80% of people plan to dress up their pets as well.
It turns out that over 90% of families celebrate Halloween, and one of the most popular ways to do so is by trick-or-treating. Patriot Connection reporter Ivy Neidert explains America's fascination with Halloween candy.
It's expected that consumers will spend over $3 billion on Halloween candy this year. Halloween started as a day where people would have bonfires to ward off ghosts. Instead of banning the holiday, the idea of candy, costumes, and parties developed. Reese Cups and M&Ms are the two most popular Halloween candies, while candy corn and circus peanuts are the least.
My favorite Halloween candy is Sweet Tarts.
My favorite Halloween candy is a caramel corn.
I like candy corn. Twix.
Anything Reese's. Anything Reese's. Reese's is the best candy in the world. It's not even close. It's not debatable. It's Reese's, hands down.
My favorite Halloween candy is Sour Patch Kids and Starbursts.
You know, believe it or not, I actually do like candy corn. Not my favorite, though. My favorite's probably Butterfingers and Baby Ruth. Those are the candies that most remind me of Halloween when I was a kid growing up in New Jersey.
My favorite Halloween candy is Dots.
Candy Hearts.
When it comes to top Halloween candy sales, Halloween ranks second only behind Easter. It's estimated that people will spend close to $4 billion on Halloween candy this year. Mr. Turbanek is Wheeling Park's business and marketing teacher and says spending has increased the last couple of years.
So the Halloween candy sales have improved over the last few years since COVID back to pre-pandemic sale numbers, around 68%. It's increased the last couple of years because of more people that are back to being active with Halloween, buying candy and purchasing Halloween decorations and such.
The week leading up to Halloween is when the most people buy Halloween candy. Reporting for the Patriot Connection, I'm Ivy Netter.
The average person is expected to consume around 700 grams of sugar on this Halloween. That comes close to about 3.5 cups.
Before we get to our break, it's time for Park TV Trivia with Patriot Connection reporter Joe Farber.
Considered to be one of the most popular movie genres, especially during this time of year, horror movies play a major role in the history of film. This week's question is, what is the highest grossing horror movie of all time? Is it A, Halloween, B, It, or C, The Shining? We'll have the answer when we come back.
We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you. We've got it down to a science, an absolute state of art. We do it all, restoration, cleaning, and reconstruction. When disaster strikes, just pick up the phone. We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you.
What if your bank offers CDs with consistently competitive and higher interest rates?
That's what I want.
What if, unlike other banks, they're normally open more hours? And they don't use high teaser rates on CDs only to lower them later. Isn't that the way all banks should be? And even more, several of their CD accounts have some of the best interest rates.
That's money in the bank. The right bank.
Open your CD account at Main Street Bank. You deserve a bank this good.
Sportsmanship is the commitment to fair play and ethical behavior.
Being a good sport means being fair, honest, responsible, and respectful.
It's treating others how you want to be treated.
It's shaking hands at the end of the game.
Good sportsmanship is encouraging your teammates when they're feeling down.
Following the rules of the game and treating players fairly.
No matter what sport you're playing, be a team player and keep a positive attitude.
Lead by example because you represent your school and your name. This message is brought to you by WPHP.
Did you know that good study skills will increase your confidence and self-esteem, as well as reduce anxiety for upcoming tests and deadlines? Students who use active learning strategies such as self-quizzing and reviewing key material will help you do better on tests than others. Start out by making a weekly or even daily to-do list, highlighting and taking notes in class, and setting aside study time every day. Developing good study habits will help you understand the subject and help you succeed in the future. Building better study habits will benefit you and your grades in the end. This message is brought to you by WPHP.
Before the break, we asked you, what is the highest grossing horror movie of all time? Is it A, Halloween, B, It, or C, The Shining? The answer is B, It. The movie, based off of Stephen King's award-winning novel, raked in over $123 million in box office ticket sales.
Over 70% of people under 35 say they enjoy scary movies, while just 20% of older people say they do. Patriot Connection reporter London Miller takes a look at why some of us love horror movies and why some of us just won't go near them.
Scary movies have been around for over 100 years and will probably be around for 100 more. In fact, the first horror movie ever released was in 1896 and was a French silent film called The Haunted Castle. On the list of popular Halloween activities is watching scary movies. These kinds of movies are also big moneymakers. In fact, just last year, horror movies raked in around $700 million at the box office. Research shows that the top 5 scariest horror movies are The Exorcist, Hereditary, The Conjuring, The Shining, and last but not least, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Wheeling Park High School students weigh in on horror movies.
I'd say my favorite scary movie is Scream because it was the first one that I've ever watched.
Is It because I enjoy watching it.
Is It because it just like always gets me on the jump scares.
Smile because it was creepy.
My favorite horror movie is Us because it's very different and scary and not like the rest of horror movies I've seen.
I'm terrified of horror movies. I can't watch them at all. I'll scream.
Anything from the Scream franchise because it always keeps me on my toes. I always get scared by it.
I don't really like horror movies, but my favorite Halloween movie is Hubie Halloween.
So why do some people enjoy scary movies while others want nothing to do with them? Dr. Romick is the English Language Arts Department chair at Wheeling Park and also teaches film studies. He explains why some people are drawn to scary movies.
Almost like when you're riding a roller coaster, right? And you're grabbing onto somebody and you're screaming, and we really like that because it kind of makes us excited, terrified at the same time, but it's that, I can't stand it. I love it.
Dr. Romick also says that silent films are brilliant, and he enjoys seeing how throughout the years, special effects have gotten better, making the audience more terrified. Reporting for the Patriot Connection, I'm London Miller.
Theaters released several new horror movies this month. They include Five Nights at Freddy's, Sister Death, and Dark Harvest.
It's one of the most dangerous nights of the year. It is estimated that an average of over 3,000 Halloween-related injuries happen every year. Costume hazards, pumpkin carving, and possible candy-related injuries are all possibilities. Wheeling Park students share their tips for staying safe.
If you're in a group with people, to make sure you stay with those people and not get lost if you're in a crowd.
Don't eat candy that's already open.
Always trick-or-treat in groups.
I would say be careful while you're driving, not only just because you're driving a car, but also there are little kids out trick-or-treating, and that would really be a shame.
I would just tell them to be aware of their surroundings and to stay with their family or their friends.
Don't walk into people's houses, check your candy for razor blades, and don't be stupid.
Just being safe on the roads.
While there are many risks at hand for children while trick-or-treating, teens and adults also need to take precautions. Officer Wilson is Wheeling Park's resource officer and says adults and young adults especially need to be safe when driving.
There'll be a lot of extra people walking in the dark, trick-or-treating, so use extra precautions when you're driving. To the younger trick-or-treaters, I would just remind them to stay in a group of 2 or more people. And everybody just use good judgment.
Trick-or-treating starts at 6:30 and ends at 7:30 in Wheeling neighborhoods. So during those hours, drivers must take extra precautions. When driving through neighborhoods or congested streets, always pay attention to the speed limit and drive slower when you are around pedestrians. Be prepared to stop, because trick-or-treaters may ignore crosswalk and traffic signals. Here's one more tip to ensure your safety on Halloween. Make sure to restrain your pets so they don't hurt any trick-or-treaters.
Now, let's take a look at what else is going on at Wheeling Park this week.
Wheeling Park's Fall Play is set for November 10th through the 12th in the J.B. Chambers Performing Arts Center. It will be held at 7 p.m. on Friday and Saturday night and at 3 on Sunday the 12th.
Congratulations to our 2023-2024 National Technical Honor Society officers. President is Caden Davis. Vice President is Savita Hooper. Secretary is McKenna Dye. And Treasurer is Zach Davis.
Calling all mathletes. Sign up today with your math teacher for Ohio County's Math Field Day. It is set for January 23rd and will be held at Wheeling Park.
Anyone who was inducted into the National Technical Honor Society last spring is invited to join the NTHS Club. We will meet week 3 during activity period in the Radio TV room O253. Mrs. Dillon is a faculty advisor. Please let her know if you want to join so you can get a club pass for the next meeting.
The Social Studies Department is in process of determining whether or not the DC trip will continue. The cost of charter buses has increased to a point that the cost of the trip will become considerably more than it has in the past.
For the trip to continue, we need to determine if enough students can meet the financial obligation of $250. Students can still fundraise by selling Saris on the Christmas and Easter catalogs. To take one bus, we will need at least 44 students, and to take two, we need 88. If you have taken the History of the Holocaust class, you are eligible to go on the trip, assuming you meet the other trip requirements. The proposed dates are March 22nd and 23rd. If you are willing to commit to the trip and the financial obligation that it requires, please see Mr. Gaelic in room 359.
Week 2 clubs will meet on November 3rd, and Week 3 clubs will meet on November 17th.
Wheeling Park will administer the Armed Services, Vocational, Aptitude, Battery, also known as the ASVAB test on Tuesday, November 7th. See your counselor for more information.
November 10th is Veterans Day and all Ohio County schools will be closed.
If you need to have a makeup picture taken, they are scheduled for Tuesday, November 14th.
Looking for a job? Don't forget to check out our job opportunities document on the Schoology's resources page.
Students, don't forget to join your class of Schoology group. You can find the codes on Schoology.
On the Wheeling Park sports calendar this week, Wheeling Park's football team will travel to Moundsville on Friday night to take on John Marshall. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m.
Our varsity hockey team will host Connellsville Area Senior High School on November 3rd at Wheeling Park's West Banco Arena. The puck drops at 7:20. Good luck to all of our Patriots.
Well, that's a wrap for this edition of the Patriot Connection. We are on WLTV 14 7 days a week at 6:30 a.m., 7 p.m., and 10 p.m. For all the Patriot Connection reporters, I'm Hudson Davis.
And I'm Malia Miskowitz. Have a great day.